Good morning. This is Nyanika here, and Vijana, and welcome Holly and anyone who may be in the YouTube audience listening. We're going to speak about the Maṅgalasutta today. This is a very beloved and frequently chanted sutta. It's a blessing, and it also is a teaching. Most people regard it as a blessing, but it's a blessing upon ourselves if we follow the instructions that the Buddha is giving. So we'll start with a Namo Tassa, and then we'll go to the sutta. I'll put it on share screen. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddham Dhammam Sangham Namasami. So I will put the sutta. Hello, Kat. Welcome. Let's see. Why am I not seeing it?
I think you weren't on the tab yet, so it's this tab is my guess.
So
go ahead and click on this one, and if it doesn't work, we can try again, but just double click there. There you go.
Oh, there it is. Thank you. Okay. So this is Bhante Sujato's translation, and I and Nyanika will be reading some selected of the stanzas, some of the, but I like to look at Bhante Sujato's because we also have the Pali available this way. And he has some interesting ways of translating things as well. He's often very literal about it. And what the meaning of it in English is still a little bit mysterious because Pali is multifaceted. So we really have to consider and also the cultural context. We might not understand because of the culture that this sutta was presented in. So we'll think about that also. So we'll start out. So I have heard at one time the Buddha was staying near Sawati in Jeta's grove, Anathapindika's monastery. Then, late at night, a glorious deity lighting up the entire Jeta's grove went up to the Buddha, bowed, and stood to one side. So this deity, this deva, many people, sometimes they're called angels, sometimes they're called deities, sometimes they're called celestial beings, but they have personalities and they have their failings. It's almost like it's an exalted state, but it's not divine as far as being entirely pure. If you read about the devas, they engage in battle and they do various things that seem very human in certain ways. So, but they some of them are quite pure, and they wish to understand the teaching, and many of them have respect for the Buddha. So this one has come to the Buddha And this is the first stanza. The Buddha addresses, the deity addressed the Buddha in verse. Many gods and humans have thought about blessings, desiring well-being, declare the highest blessing. So the deity is saying this Mangala, that's a blessing. And they have a question mark there, but I think this is they're wondering, they're pondering about what is the highest blessing. And they're wishing, they're seeking. This is also, but here, Bruhi is this Bhante Sujato is translated as declare, but that's please tell us. It's often it's a please tell us what the highest blessing is. We're seeking the answer. What is auspicious blessing, a good omen? So how do we bless ourselves? Do you have a good translation for that question that's being posed?
I like Bhikkhu Bodhi saying many devas and human beings have reflected on blessings, longing for safety, so declare the highest blessing. And I like the reflected on because if you look at the backstory, the devas have been having this discussion. What is the highest blessing? What is it? Well, I think, that. Well, let's go ask the Buddha. So I like the reflected on.
Yeah. So, and they're also where the human beings have the same,
Yeah.
Mhm. Question. I think it was amongst humans and devas, but anyway, it may have just been the devas. But here he says, the Lord Buddha replies, not to fraternize with fools. So this is asewana. And then balangnang is the fool or someone who's immature, it says here. There's actually pretty strong words. But to fraternize with the wise, pandita nancha. So there's a pandita is a wise one, and the cha is a conjunctive. So we really don't need to worry about the grammar so much there. But sewana is associating or service. Some people know it's a Pali term, seva, seva. And so at the time of the Buddha, not only did you go to hear teachings, but you may be in service of someone who you esteem. And also, if you're following their teaching, you're serving them in a particular way. So I like to, one of the meanings is to be in service of, but it's also associating, connecting, interacting with, and who we spend a lot of time with. This is why maybe Bhante Sujato says fraternize. Who we associate with, who we spend a lot of time with, influences us. So we're either influencing others or being influenced by being in close, frequent contact with people. And if we really stay with our ethics, we can be a good influence on others.
Mm-hmm.
And honoring those worthy of honor. This is the highest blessing. So we have to choose, like I was saying, who we spend time with, and also having respect for those who are worthy of respect. So if we have this idea of honoring and respecting, we're going to actually be positively influenced by them, because we're seeing their good qualities, we're respecting their good qualities. So have you chosen for the first stanza, the Buddha?
Bhante Gunaratna, to associate not with the foolish, to be with the wise, to honor the worthy ones. This is a blessing supreme.
So there's 38 blessings we can bless ourselves with if we follow this teaching. Living in suitable region, having made merit in the past, being rightly resolved in oneself. This is the highest blessing. So part of this is from our past karma, and in this life and maybe other lifetimes, that we have the opportunity to live in an area that is safe enough and comfortable enough that it's not a real struggle for survival. And then also the fact that the teaching is available. This is a thing, that we're born in an era, not only a region, but an era where the teaching is available. So this is, I think, for me, this is a part of our karma.
Yeah, Ajahn Brahmali actually translates it using the word karma. Let's find that. To live in a suitable place, having previously done good karma, and to apply oneself in the right way. This is the greatest good fortune.
So they have punya, kata punyata, having made merit. So that's his karma. This is our karma, that we've made good merit. Thank you. So being rightly resolved in oneself. So there's this term atta here. This is a self. And I like to point this out. We're working towards abandoning self, but first we develop a good sense of self, an ethical self. It's just like we start out with a self-esteem that's based on ethics and on wisdom and on positive qualities. So being rightly resolved in oneself. So good self-orientation, right self-direction. So it's just like as human beings, there's this convention of a self, and then we're developing the positive qualities in that. And then eventually we develop the wisdom to see that it's all transient. But in the meantime, that we're blessing ourselves by this good self-orientation, right self-direction, rightly resolved in oneself.
This is the living in suitable region one.
No,
No, this.
yeah, it is.
Yeah,
It is. It is.
Lawrence Cantipalo Mills, that one is right direction and self-guidance. So the full one is living in benefiting places, having in the past made merit, right direction in self-guidance. This is a supreme good omen.
Mhm. So he took the he took this from whatever dictionary this is, that right directing oneself properly. Welcome, mudita. So we're reading through the Maṅgalasutta, and now these are the 38 blessings, and then we've gotten to, I don't know which stanza it is. So this is Bahusa Chancha Sipancha. This is education and a craft, discipline and training, and well-spoken speech. This is the highest blessing. So Bahu is like a lot. So what a lot, Bahusa Chancha, the way they've translated here is the fact of being deeply learned, fact of having profound knowledge. And Sipancha is a skill, art, craft, a branch of knowledge related to crafts or skills. So this is pointing to a lay life and having a skill in lay life that's beneficial to others. And then also being knowledgeable, deeply learned. And it doesn't specifically say what that learning is. But we can look at other translations. But the understanding is that we're developing our minds and wisdom and also practical as a human being, that we can offer something good in the world. And this Vinaya having to do with discipline or training, and for the monks, that's there's a specific monastic discipline, but our discipline, there's ethical conduct. So it's also used for people in all walks of life, that we have, we're self-disciplined in ethics. And then well-trained, thoroughly mastered. So we're mastering ourselves. We're really developing ourselves in ethics and kindness and wholesome qualities. And then Subhasita is the well-spoken speech, so that we speak well to one another. We speak kindly to one another. What's useful, what's helpful. Vacha is also talking, speaking. And this is the highest blessing.
Tinisro Bhikkhu, broad knowledge, skill, well-mastered discipline, well-spoken words. This is the highest protection.
Oh, he says protection.
Yeah.
Oh, so blessing, protection. Yeah, so the Mangala could be a lucky charm. They have all these different kinds of things. You say auspicious sign. You wake up in the morning and you see the sunrise and the morning star, and you say, "Oh, that's suspicious." But we're really working on blessing ourselves here. And then the next is caring for mother and father, kindness to children and parents, and unstressful work. That's interesting. This is the highest blessing. So here, our responsibility to our parents, it's gratitude to our parents that the fact that we had this human birth and all, hopefully our parents raised us well and we're responsible. I know this isn't always true, but just the gratitude for human birth. And if we have the opportunity to repay our parents when they're elderly, if we have the opportunity to do that, that's a real blessing. And then, so this is definitely directed to householders. We've known of monastics to care for their elderly parents too. They've left the monastery and stayed in the home of an ailing parent or a parent that's maybe dying. We have our dear friend Aya Brahmawara, and she's with her parents now because they're in need of her care. And she has a little kuti in the back of her parents' home, and then she goes in and does they just needs a little bit of assistance, but they definitely need someone there with them. So it's not just for lay people, this part. And then kindness, it says kindness to children and partners. So Puta is a child, and Darasa is this wife and kids, is how it's translated here. uh, so wife and or spouse,
Yeah.
spouse and
Offspring.
the children. And so looking after, caring for, so keeping our responsibilities. And then it says unstressful work. Well, this is not overcrowded, not burdensome, not burdened by our work. Kamanta is our business or activity. So this kamma is with two M's is a work or action, activity, our work, our business. So if our work is unstressful, that really is a blessing. Not to be burdened by our work.
Yeah, Lawrence Cantipalo Mills uses the word spheres of work that bring no conflict. The full one is aid for mother and for father, and support for spouse and children. Spheres of work that bring no conflict. This is a supreme good omen. And I feel like that bringing no conflict is like bringing no conflict into the heart, bringing no conflict to our sila. The Buddha says, he doesn't have conflict with anyone in the world. We can really take it to a high level of what non-conflict means in our work.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Not overburdened, not entangled.
Entangled, yeah.
Yeah, not in conflict with ourselves and others. Yeah, that's really a good way of thinking about it. And maybe things come up in our workplace and we feel inner conflict, but how much of that can we let go of? So then the next is Danansha. We recognize this word, dana, yes? Giving, this generosity. Dhammacharya. Conduct in line with the Dhamma, ethical conduct, moral behavior. So here we have the ethical conduct and the Dhamma together. It's all kind of in one package, it seems, doesn't it? Kindness to relatives. And then this is kin or kins or relatives. And support. This is support or looking after, but he says kindness. So yeah, it is an act of kindness to care for others. And Blameless deeds, anawajani, so without blame, irreproachable, faultless, blameless, innocent. And the comma, here's the word comma again, which is action, action, deed, doing. This is the highest blessing. So that anything we do, we're not creating more negative karma. We're doing the good karma, which is gonna be uh, uh, leading us to continuous better karma
Mhm.
actions in the present really influence our future.
Well, this one's a little bit interesting wording. It's from the Birkin chant book, Linda Furrow's modifications from it. Selfless giving, a wholesome lifestyle, open hands to all relatives, and blameless action. These are great blessings. I was curious about open hands, kindness, whether there was any
Yeah,
sangaho.
so they have Dhanancha, which is giving.
Yes, so sangaha, sangaho, the nominative, it literally means holding together. You know, so for the relatives, holding support, holding together the family.
Mhm.
It's an interesting
That's it right here.
nuance to it.
Yeah,
Sangaho.
Sangaho. Yeah, I have it right here.
Yeah, that's a really interesting word.
Aha.
It's got a whole lot of like I'd love to do a further study on just this word. Collaboration, mutual assistance, good relationship. It's literally holding together their treatment, the collection. Let's see, yeah, encompassing of the group. There's a lot of nuance there.
Mm. And then
Further question the Nyataka Nancha, the our kin, our relative, who does that apply to? Who is our kin? Who should we be open-handed and help hold together? As we're doing a whole lot of othering in our world right now.
well, the answer to that is that we're all related to one another. We all have,
Yeah.
we're related to all beings. We have this, our the structure of our cell. It's just like a lot of the DNA, and if anything with the same cell type is all practically all everything in the animal kingdom, and we're even related to the bacteria. There's a we have similar DNA to the bacteria is actually prototype to this types of cells we have. So as far if you want to think about genetic makeup, we're like if you look at the genetic code, even with apes and things like that, we're so close. It's just like very, very little difference. Um, but we're all interdependent, not just that all our the substance in our bodies, This is all we all have the same makeup. So yeah, people have a tendency to look at differences and just it's so superficial. Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, that we are really
The sangaho, it literally means holding together, and that's all of us. That's everything. That yeah, the way you pull it out is interdependent.
Okay, so now desisting from and abstaining from evil. Avoiding drinking liquor, that would help with that. Diligence in qualities and good qualities, I'm sorry. Diligence and good qualities. This is the highest blessing. Arati virati papa. Arati is abstinence. And stopping, abstaining. So it's kind of putting emphasis on this desisting, like it's ceasing, really desisting. And papa is translated as evil, criminal, wrong, bad, vicious. So we'll get ourselves into a lot of trouble if we fall prey to these unskillful. Criminal, that's really strong. Drinking alcohol. The cha is conjunctive. It's just like and that's just a word for some kind of intoxicant. And appamado, this is diligence, alertness, care, carefulness, vigilance, diligence, heedfulness. Many people are familiar with this word. Damesu, nature, character, quality, trait, inherent qualities. So diligence in cultivating and maintaining and acting on through body, speech, and mind these good qualities. Good qualities, examples of the Brahma Viharas, if we're cultivating the Brahma Viharas and acting out of loving kindness, acting out of compassion, rejoicing in other people's goodness, and maintaining as much as we can equanimity, but also the development of wisdom.
Narada Tera has that one line is, and to be steadfast in virtue, but the one I picked as the stanza was from Piyadasi Tera. To cease and abstain from evil, to abstain from intoxicating drinks, and diligent in performing righteous acts. This is the highest blessing. And I like that it's not just being steadfast, which is important, but by adding in performing, it's like it's a constant act of doing righteous acts. It's steadfast could be just a mental state, whereas being diligent in action so that are righteous, maybe wouldn't pick that particular word, but wholesome, good,
Right.
virtuous.
So this is respect and humility. Garawo, that's respect, I believe. Yes. And humility. It says sheltered. This is very interesting. Humility, gentleness, politeness, obedience. So we're developing these good qualities. We're acting on these good qualities. And this is we have respect for ourselves as well. And I think it's humility, having things in balance that we're not overly confident. Contentment and gratitude. These are very important to just, these are also very balancing if we're content with what we have and grateful. We think, like we may have worked really hard in our lives to achieve things, but there's this interdependence, as we were talking about. I mean, not just genetically, we're really interdependent on one another, and to be grateful to all that the rest of the world is doing for us to be able to still be alive and to be able to have these opportunities that we have. So we don't ask for too much. But this is a santuti. We're not asking for more than we actually need to be contented and also grateful that for what we do have. And then this calling is timely. And this is listening to the Dhamma asawanang, listening to the teachings. So we have this opportunity to have the teachings available to us. This is just remarkable that we do have all these translations, and we have these people that are so studied and practicing in the Dhamma, not applying the Dhamma to their lives. And so to have these opportunities to hear the teachings, it's truly a blessing.
I picked Lawrence Cantipalo Mills' translation: respectfulness, a humble manner, contentedness, and grateful bearing. Hearing Dharma when it's timely, this is a supreme good omen. And I like the way that he makes these characteristics, like respectfulness, humble manner, grateful bearing. It's the way that we're holding ourselves. And going back to that word in Pali for humble, nivato or nivata, one of it has two ways of translating, and one of them is talking about the wind gone down. We're not big windy people. Without wind, sheltered, protected, safe, secure. So when I think of that as a humble manner, that my manner is not windy and it's safe. It's the wind has gone down. It's just a beautiful embodied way of practicing this verse for me.
So now we've gotten to patience, being easy to admonish, the sight of ascetics, and timely discussion of the teaching. This is the highest blessing. So Kanti here is patience. And this is patient endurance or tolerance is the first line here for the translation. Acceptance, receptivity is also a translation of patience, Kanti, not patience, but Kanti. And this is gentleness, obedience, and courteousness is how another translation, he says, easy to admonish. Soa chasata. I think it was, although there was to speak, easy to speak to, easy to if someone's resistant to hearing any kind of maybe criticism or suggestions or corrections, or then if I'm not able to hear other people, then I can't learn. I'll just go bumbling along through life, making the same mistakes again and again,
Mhm.
and wondering why everybody's else is wrong. So patience, that acceptance of others, and being able to hear the side of ascetics. So the samanas, samana nancha, this is interesting. The ancha is conjunctive again, so it's not really so important in the meaning of this. A samana is ascetic, renunciant, holy person, monk, recluse, and then the dasanang is seeing. So I think sometimes it's translated as seeing as far as going to see, going to hear and going to see. But when you consider what the Buddha, when the Buddha, before he was a fully awakened, the sight of a samana is part of what compelled him to go forth into homelessness, is that he was very inspired. And then King Bimbisara saw the Buddha walking for alms, and just the sight of him was so impressive that he went to speak with him. It was like I think you could really tell a difference in people. This is one of the things that when I first met the monks at Abhayagiri Monastery, I said, really something different. I can't really put my finger on it, but they're really different. There's something really special about them. So even just the sight of someone who's well developed in the Dhamma, and timely discussion of the teaching. Here's the Sakalena again. So from time to time, we hear the teachings. I think I want to recommend that we don't multitask, that we really try and take the time to hear the teaching. So many people they're washing the dishes or going to the toilet and they're listening to the Dhamma. It's like we really need to take that time, timely discussion. So really taking the time to setting that time aside. This is very special time. We can fully be doing like washing the dishes and fully be able to hear the Dhamma. And I think this is one aspect of the timeliness that I would like to bring up. So this is Dhamma Sachana, talking about the Dhamma discussion. So just putting that time aside and just fully being present for that is what I would like to throw in about this.
The one I picked was Bhikkhu Bodhi's translation, patience, being amenable, there we go, being amenable to advice, the seeing of ascetics, timely discussion on the Dhamma, this is the highest blessing, and calling out the being amenable to advice. It's like, again, setting one's disposition as such that you can receive the advice. It's amenable to me is not just willing, but like you can let it soak in and have some good effect.
So this is a gradual path. And so we started out with with the householders, having children, having sometimes it's called craftsman skill, craftsperson skill, but some kind of craft. I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time with that word. Craft and learning and caring for family and caring for children, raising children. But now, it seems like perhaps it says to Po is fervor, is this hot, warm, shines, radiates, glows, blazes,
Blazes, maybe?
it's blazes, burns, harms. So this tapo was these ascetic practices, but then the Buddha was saying that actually Kanti is the highest asceticism, being a patient, and so really applying yourself to wholesome qualities, applying yourself to the practice. And then we have celibacy, brahmacharya. And this is brahmacharyancha, but this you can see here, this is I was saying conjunctive, it's and. So this is a spiritual path, holy life, celibacy. So at a certain point in our lives, we may take up the practice of celibacy, or maybe on the fortnight, on the lunar observance days, we take 8 precepts. When I was a layperson, I just decided to become celibate at a certain point, but I would take 8 precepts on the fortnights. And so some people will do that, or for a period of time, practice brahmacharya. But it also may mean at a certain point of your life, you go forth into monastic life. And this is the next one, Arya Sachancha, seeing the noble truths. This is the Four Noble Truths. So this is sight, vision, appearance, this seeing, when they talk about when someone sees, they've actually penetrated the meaning of the Four Noble Truths. And this may be an epithet for stream entry, to enter the stream when we see the Four Noble Truths. And the realization of Nibbana. Bhante Sujato says, extinguishment, and that might sound kind of scary to some people, but if you think of it in terms of extinguishing the 3 unwholesome roots of greed, hate, and delusion, it might not sound so scary. And this is how Venerable Sariputta explains it. Anyway, what is extinguished? The self,
Ego.
So this is like the ultimate here. The realization of Nibbana and seeing the Four Noble Truths. This is the kind of the creme de creme.
Ajahn Brahmali, asceticism, that's how he uses tapo, and the spiritual life, that's the brahmacharya, insight into the noble truths, and the seeing for oneself of nibbana. This is the greatest good fortune.
Though touched by worldly conditions, their mind does not tremble, sorrowless, stainless, secure. This is the highest blessing. So after the realization of Nibbana, after seeing the noble truths, the Four Noble Truths for oneself, then this is Putasa is touched by this as being in contact. And the Lokiya Dhammas as a worldly winds or worldly conditions, and there's eight worldly conditions, and there's a gain and loss. There's pleasure and pain. There's praise and blame, and there's fame and disrepute. And so when we're touched by any of those, it's what they're in pairs. So we welcome the gain, we welcome the pleasure, we welcome praise. And maybe our Facebook is a lot of people are or my YouTube channel has a lot of people are watching. So I think I'm famous or something. But there's the flip side always of that. And so no matter what, we don't get puffed up if it's on the side that's positive, and we don't feel crushed if it, when we encounter loss or pain, or our mind is not disturbed. The mind, the chittam here, chitta is not, and this na kampati, na is a negation, kampati is shaken, trembling, wavering, disturbed. So the mind is not thrown out of balance by the Lokiya Dhammas, by the worldly conditions, the worldly winds blowing one way and then another way. It's not going to throw us off. Sorrowless, stainless, secure. This is the highest blessing. Asokam. So soka is a sorrow. So soka is negating it. And then virajang is stainless, pure, untainted. And then kema is a refuge, or this is well, like I think that's like a oasis, safe, secure, at peace. Oh, it's well, it's being not ill. Safety, security, sanctuary. So everywhere we go, we're secure, we're not shaken by anything.
This is one of my favorite stanzas. I have picked two. Bhikkhu Ananda Jodi, one whose mind does not waver when it is touched by things of this world, being griefless, dustless, and secure. This is a supreme blessing. And yeah, not wavering when touched by things of this world. And then Tanisaro Bhikkhu's translation, a mind that, when touched by the ways of the world, is unshaken, sorrowless, dustless, at rest. That's the translation of Kema. This is the highest protection.
Sad.
It's such a popular sutta to translate because it's so uplifting. And I made a spreadsheet of different translations, and it just really gets more nuance to the practice.
This is the beauty of the suttas and also verses. If we take these into our hearts, if we maybe there's a favorite translation we have, or a favorite stanza or something, and you know it well, and then it comes up, the teaching will come up, or we have it maybe even like on our a poster on our wall or something like that with these verses, and we can look at them and they'll uplift our heart. So thank you. Yeah, thank you for that work you're doing. Having completed these things, undefeated anywhere, everywhere they go in safety, this is their highest blessing. So this is how the Lord Buddha concludes that what we accomplished in these things. Patwana, having done all of that he's spoken about. Sabata everywhere. Ma parajita. And that's not defeated. You're not, we're undefeated anywhere we go. So here we have sabata again. So everywhere they go, they're safe. The gachanti is goes, walks. Tang te sang Maṅgalasutta mang. This is their highest blessing. This is a blessing supreme. This is how we bless ourselves.
Mhm. That word aparajita, is that
Yeah,
yeah, the parajita, similar to parajika, it's a defeat, but it's having suffered a loss. So kind of this undefeated somewhat doesn't land well for me, or invincible. It sounds kind of militaristic, but when we're looking at it as we're not at a loss. There's no loss when things happen, when there's no defeat in the heart. We don't become defeated, that affect of downtrodden, downcast. So that's the way I look at that, as I don't become low in my heart at the conditions of the world. So the translation I picked was Narada Tera's. Those who thus abide ever remain invincible, in happiness established. These are the greatest blessings.
sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
May we all be established in happiness.
Yeah, so just taking these teachings to heart and established in these teachings, and being a blessing upon ourselves. And if we bless ourselves in this way, we're also a blessing to others. So this is I think the thing too is that undefeated, if we allow ourselves, we defeat, we are, we don't have to fall to being, conquered by our own desires, our own unwholesome qualities, that we can abandon them. And then that's the real safety here, is that we, no matter what's happening in the world, that's why I like this, the one that's just before it, no matter what is going on in the world, we don't succumb to unwholesome qualities. This is the only thing we have influence and control over is our own internal qualities. We can't control what's going on in the world, so we don't have to let that defeat us. So
that was a whirlwind of a sutta. We got it in an hour. That was impressive.
So I'm going to close the screen share here, and then we're going to say we're going to pay homage to the Buddha. And then yeah, actually let's pay homage to the Buddha, and then we'll turn off the YouTube, and we can have a little bit of time for reflection and discussion of the sutta. Araham Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddham Bhagavantam Abhivademi. Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammam Namasami. Supatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Sanghang Namami. Okay, oops. We're turning off the YouTube. Thank you for everyone joining us via YouTube. Oops, What happened?
Your screen's still there. You could, yeah, there.
we still haven't gotten out of here. I'm still,
Sure. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
missed the stop button.
I'm not, this is the touch that, okay, maybe you can do that.
Sure. And then I slide this way. Oh, I think I missed it too. I guess maybe,
YouTube. There we
okay, I'm gonna use a different method. I'm gonna go down here to more live stream.